So we're back here in Hallelujah Junction. These next couple days are the paid digs for Nolan and Saph, so really hoping we can find some good material. The last couple days we spent at Ryan's place. They were cutting some insane gems. You'll be able to see that in part 3. Part 2 is just going to be the paid digs. Hopefully we can find some great stuff. As you can see, it snowed last night. Just goes to show you that even in June, it can still have very variable weather conditions up here on the mountain.
So the last few days we've been digging for the company, learning, and today is our first paid dig day. So whatever we dig up today, we get to keep. Ultimate goal is to find, I'm after some facet rough. Hopefully we can hit a pocket with some nice facet rough. But also, if I can get some of those celestial amethyst.
If you find any facet rough, what are you going to be able to do with that?
We're going to take it back to Ryan's house and cut it up and see what we come up with.
Looks like Saph already found a big celestial. Just some of the stuff that Saph found.
I just got this and I got some more in my pocket, but there's some scepters. There's a scepter right here. Here's another. Nice. All this stuff is facet grade that I just pulled out. Alright, check it out. Another big one.
Look at this smoky.
Yeah, but look at this.
Smoky fingerling.
Check that out.
Oh boy.
Dude. Scepter.
Gorgeous.
Until we clean that off.
I became aware of the mountain in about 1976. I had gone to the Mackey School of Mines and then became a firefighter, so they teased me, called me the geologist. Well, one day a fellow firefighter by the name of Foster Hallman approached me and he showed me quartz crystals that were in the form of scepters. Well, I'd never seen any such thing in my life. They don't teach you that in paleontology. At any rate, he had been shown that this hill by his father, and he and his brother dug on it. So we made a couple trips up here. And on my second trip up here, I hit a pocket that went like a snake for 13 feet through the granite.
Oh my
over
gosh.
300 pounds of crystals and lots of scepters and 5 big amethysts. So I was hooked, so to speak. And for some years after that, Foster and I came up and dug by hand, parking on the west side of the mountain and walking up. Then there was a rebirth of interest in crystals in probably 1980, 81. We tried taking some of the stuff we'd found to Tucson, and it was very well received. So Foster and I, in 1983, we filed 2 claims up here, adjoining claims in both our names. Eventually we divided the claims, and I took the one to the south and he took the one to the north. And we started mining them commercially.
And then if you have just one key takeaway, one thing that, mining has taught you and you've applied it to your personal life, what might that be?
Mining has various aspects, but with regard to this hill, mining and allowing people to mine on your claim is a great way to make people happy, especially with the type of material they find on these particular claims of various forms of quartz. It's a very prolific producer, and people usually leave here very happy and very almost a feeling of enlightenment dealing with the crystals that are found here. So my takeaway is it's possible to have a mining venture such as I have and SI02 partners have, that not only can make you happy, but can make a lot of other people happy too.
So something that Jan told me right after we stopped recording is that this claim dated back to the 1800s, probably the late 1800s. The woman of Anne Fraser, she was very big in the mineral community at the time and owned the claim all the way up until about the 1950s. And then it passed some hands before it got to Jan. Jan claimed it in the 80s and actually was able to dig and create some of the road that leads up to camp. So they used to just hike along a deer path to get to the claim, but enough time passed to where they were done just hiking up to the claim and wanted to actually make a road to drive up and have camp. So back in the 80s when they started looking at the claims, they did see down on the California side that there was a little bit of mining being done, but not too much done due to the scenic highway that was there. And on one of the other sides, the gradient was too steep, so there was a little bit of mining done before the 1980s, but a lot of it wasn't really for the crystals that we're looking for today. There was a large deposit of mica that was probably the biggest interest at the time. You know, when Jan was able to take over, he looked over at the other side of the mountain, the side of the mountain that was not on the California side, and started digging and struck the lotto. You know, it's just amazing to me that so many years before the mining in the actual Hallelujah Junction mine took place, this was largely undiscovered until Jan picked up the claim and started digging, making the roads, and really creating this mine that is continuing giving for generations. He said something that really stuck with me right after when we were talking, saying that having this type of job allowed him to meet and affect the lives of 3 different generations, largely due to his influence on the mountain. So, just something of a very great story, great history, and happy that we are just able to take part in the living history that Jan has put in. Last day on the mountain.
Last day.
How did yesterday go?
Yesterday went amazing. That was my paid dig day, and spent all day. Didn't find much except for within the first 5 minutes of digging yesterday, and then after that it was a bunch of just breaking the wall down, not finding anything. And as soon as I started getting discouraged, it was the end of the day, only a couple hours left of sunlight. Hit a massive pocket out of nowhere and pulled some crazy material out.
How long were you in that pocket?
We were in the pocket for at least 2-3 hours, and then after the sun went down and it was dark, we came back out here and ripped that whole pocket open, and more stuff kept falling out. So
how long were you mining yesterday? You probably started about 9:30, 10 o'clock?
We started at 9:30, and I didn't go back into camp for dinner until about 7. And then we went back out from about 9:30 to midnight. So that's a solid day.
Yeah.
Ready to go again.
Yeah, so today's the last day. What are the goals for today?
Oh, hit massive pockets.
Awesome, let's do it.
Hello, I'm Brendan Traw, and I'd like to share a little bit about my story with Peterson Mountain here in Washoe County, Nevada. I first got into rocks and minerals when I was a kid, and my parents would take me out on the weekends, my brother and myself, out to collect rocks and fossils in Kentucky, I think as a way basically to get rid of our youthful energy. And so we would frequently go out on the weekends and find somewhere interesting and walk around and collect things. And I've always had that as an interest. Went off to college and started a family, and around the year 2000 I started to go back towards rocks and minerals in a serious way and get interested in mining. I started up in Washington State at the Spruce Claim, which is a quartz and pyrite locality, and that's where I met my mining mentor Bob Jackson, who really has been teaching me the technical side of mining. So I've worked with him for a number of years at different mining sites, and about 5 years ago first had an opportunity to come up and experience Peterson Mountain. not on the claim that we currently work, but on the adjacent claim to the north. And it was really a phenomenal 2 or 3 days that I was here collecting on that claim. And then next year, through one of my partners at Spruce Claim up in Washington State, I had the opportunity to buy in on a partnership on Crystal Tip's #1 claim, which is the southern of the 2 claims on the top of Peterson Mountain. And ever since then, I've been part of the partnership team here, really making this an amazing North American artisanal mining operation.
If you could just tell us one takeaway that you've been able to apply to either your life or personal life that mining has taught you.
Well, let me give you 2 actually.
Okay.
One is perseverance. No matter what's going on the mountain, you just have to sort of stick with it. There'll sometimes be days at a time whenever you're not finding great stuff, or you personally aren't finding great stuff, but all the people around you are, and you can't get down on it because things will change. And as long as you're working hard and uncovering pockets and working carefully to extract the specimens, your luck will change, and then you'll be the one bringing out the amazing specimens, and everyone else will be kicking themselves for things not going well. And so, I think that's really probably the most important thing is just perseverance. But the other thing I would bring up that's been really important to my life is problem solving. There's all sorts of problems to be solved here, whether it's how you're going to collect a pocket to make sure you don't damage things, or how we're going to work with the regulatory agencies that regulate our presence on the mountain to figure out our permitting and all these other things. There's always just a neat set of problems to be solved in many different domains when mining, and that's one of the things I think that really appeals to me the most. In my life outside of mining, I'm a computer scientist, and so I spend a lot of time solving problems in those domains, and to be able to apply those same skills here on the mountain is just something I really enjoy doing, and it's great to be doing it outside and not at a desk and behind a computer. So having my hands in a vug, or driving a piece of equipment, or even doing paperwork for working with our regulators, it's all an interesting set of challenges that I really love doing every day.